Hello guys, welcome back to the Football Draft podcast. If you haven't already, follow us on Spotify or subscribe if you're on iTunes or YouTube. You're here with myself, James, Ben, and a returning member, Ross Wilders. However, this time he is joining the Football Draft podcast on a permanent basis.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome, Ross.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so Ross, we really enjoyed having you on last time, and so now we're delighted to be able to welcome you as part of the Football Drafts on a permanent basis.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here and it's great to chat to you too. So can't wait to see what future podcasts have to hold. So yeah, very happy to be here.
Ross, as we welcome you into the Football Draft, we have a good result that we can both be happy with. The Manchester Derby happened at the weekend there. Great result for Man United.
Yeah.
2-0 win at the Etihad. What are your guys' thoughts on the result?
Very happy.
Shocked me certainly enough.
Shocked me too.
Pretty sure we were all thinking 3-4, maybe even 5-0 to Man City. But you know what? Fair play to you guys. Fair play.
Do you know what, lads? Ollie has got Guardiola's number. I'm telling you. He's got more wins than Guardiola has. So I'm telling you. But no, it was a good performance overall. However, I think the passing was a bit sloppy all round, especially from the midfield. And it's my constant problem with Man United at the minute is that we don't have a lot of creativity in the midfield. And what I really hate seeing in the media is I think the abuse that Bruno gets for being underwhelming in games. But he is our high risk, high reward player. And so maybe when he's not getting the creativity behind him and similar players behind him, then, it leads to mistakes. So I think that was a big problem, on Sunday. But overall, I think the resilience the team showed to go out there and give it welly and end City's 21 game unbeaten run, I think is just a great feat and a great confidence booster ahead of very, challenging games up ahead. So yeah, really happy.
You mentioned the midfield and creativity there. I mean, it was almost inevitable that United were going to be sitting 10 men behind, 11 men behind the ball against Man City. And it was all about the counter. And tell you what, United took advantage of that in the second half with 2 early goals there. And Bruno Fernandes, we as Arsenal fans, Tottenham, Chelsea, whatever, laugh about United getting penalty. But I don't think there's any debate there. That was a stonewall penalty. Really, really stupid from Gabriel Jesus. I think he lost the ball in the first place, and as most forwards do, they try and they're taught from a young age. If you lose the ball, track back, try and get it back, and I think he just done a bit too much there.
Yeah, I agree. Like Ross was saying with the midfield creativity that was lacking, you could see that in the first half when we had chances to break and we just couldn't take advantage of it because we just gave the ball away with people like Fred or McTominay not being able to find that pass that connects to then Bruno, who can then create chances for Rashford, Martial or Dan James. But it was a perfect start to the game. We've run right at them. We're pressing highly. We get a break. Martial is able to have a wee run in the box, and then there he is. Gabriel Jesus decided to try the defending, even though there was plenty of other City defenders around him that he didn't even need to do anything because he was surrounded as it was. He didn't seem to be going anywhere closer to the goal. So I think it was very silly from Gabriel Jesus, but I'm not going to complain.
No, neither am I, man. And I just think, as you said, ideal start. But I just think that I constantly felt anyway after that we'd scored, we were constantly in the back foot. And I know there's going to be times in that sort of game facing the quality of Man City's team that you're always going to sort of be on the back foot, and I get that. But what I particularly liked was the resilience that we did show. Dean Henderson, amazing game of football. He deserves all the praise because, particularly in the second goal, he was about to roll it out to, I think it was either Lindelof or Maguire, and I thought, no, please don't do that. I hate it when the defence do that. It makes me so nervous. So he hits a long throw, and to be honest, it's a ballsy throw because it can go sour very quick, and hits it right to Shaw, and Shaw, arguably our player of the season next to Bruno, it takes it up and storms through the midfield, and I think he creates the chance assisted by Rashford, and it's just a great goal. So I think that for a lot of fans out there saying that we were very lucky to get the result, I would disagree because I think we showed real quality and we really took it to City as teams should. You look at the way West Ham approached City the week before, and I know they lost, but they really showed that no matter who you are in the Premier League, you can take a game to City, and I think we benefited from watching that game and understanding, what, we can do this. and they went out and did it. And I was really, it's one of those games you're just really proud to watch and proud to say that you're a United fan, you know. But that's just me.
I don't actually remember that many clear-cut City chances, to be honest. And I remember a few in the first half. Maybe Gundogan should have put one or two away, but they were kind of half chances, and there was one where the ball was kind of stuck under his foot, and Dean Henderson predicted where it was going. And two players that have been getting criticism from you guys is Lindelof and Maguire, but from a Arsenal fan watching the game, I thought they played all right, and against one of the hardest attacks in the league.
Yeah, they actually did. There was parts in the game where I didn't like where it was going when they tried to play at the back and try to beat City's high press, and trying to see Lindelof and Maguire, who are quite slow and can be a bit lazy in a way on the ball. It was a bit nerve-wracking to watch, but overall I thought we coped with what City were able to throw at us really well. Like you said, the chances they had, they were pretty much only really half chances. They weren't like clear-cut chances that really put us in trouble. So I thought with Maguire and Lindelof, they did kind of prove me wrong in a way, but it's whether they can do that in consistently, because I've not seen them play that well together in a long time. Normally they can be, I don't know, they can almost disadvantage each other. Like, they don't help each other most of the time. They can almost like prevent each other from playing well. But I thought in this game they did really well, and the defence, the whole defence actually, I thought Wan-Bissaka was a standout performer for me as well. So the whole back line and then the keeper behind them with Dean Henderson, I thought it was a really good game, and they should really take this game and think we can beat anyone in the league. There's no reason why we can't. Maybe not push City because of the points difference, but make sure they secure that second place spot. And I think that Ole has really done well with what he did in that game and the way he set it up. So I think I'm very proud of the game yesterday. I was really nervous before, but the game went really well, and I thought it was a near perfect performance, to be honest.
Yeah, you mentioned 4 players out of the back 5 there, and then you mentioned Bissaka, Henderson, Maguire and Lindelof, and then Luke Shaw, maybe the last person you'd expect to get a goal against in the Manchester derby. Fantastic finish. Anything to add to that, Ross?
Yeah, I mean, it was, I believe in, don't quote me on this, but I think it was Luke Shaw's first Premier League away goal. I think I read that stat on Sky Sports. That's just amazing for the fella, and he's had such a journey from a player who was, well below average for a long time, and is now coming into being the best left back in the Premier League at the minute anyway. And I'll have a debate with anyone who thinks different. I can see you sort of shaking your head there, James. We can have a good discussion about that.
That's a very bold claim. That's a very bold claim.
You tell me who's a better left back at the minute and we'll have a discussion about it. I'm telling you.
When you say at the minute, do you mean at the minute of when he literally scored the goal? Then I won't argue with you.
No, I mean, in this current time, no one is on better form. No left back is in better form at the minute than Luke Shaw. I don't think you can actually argue with that. Andy Robertson is probably a close second, even though he's been terrible this season as well. So I don't know. I think anyone who doesn't think Luke Shaw is the best left back, in not only in the Premier League, perhaps in Europe at the minute. It's just unbelievable. I'm telling you, man. See, you're laughing at me. I'm telling you, man. Luke Shaw is unreal, and if it wasn't for Bruno, he'd be our player of the season. There's a reason why he's won it before. He's an incredible quality, and he's shown that now. And the reason why, I'm sure Gareth Southgate was looking out for the game. I'm sure Luke Shaw is going to get that call up to that spot anytime soon. I'm telling you.
Ben, as a United fan, do you agree with that? I personally think it's a bit crazy. I'm gonna have to put in a word and for Kieran Tierney. Look, I'm not going to say he's the best
Kieran
left back at the minute. Now, Ben, I know you love both Luke Shaw and Kieran Tierney here, so we've put you on a spot. But I'm saying, I'd choose KT for my 11 any day of the week.
I have to highly disagree with you there. I mean, you look at Luke Shaw. I mean, look at where he's come from. I mean, when he signed for Man United, it was 27 million. People were kind of laughing at it, being like, he's not really proven himself yet. Why are you paying 27 million for him? Then he went and broke his leg, which was obviously devastating, and it didn't look like he could come back to this point. And to reach this point from where he's come from, it's made that 27 million look like a really good buy now, and he's still fairly young as well, so he's still got plenty of years left in him. And this season especially, he's definitely proved to Man United fans that he should be the starting left back, and he is, I don't want to say world class, but he's just been a level above the other left backs this year. And I don't know if maybe the signing of Alex Telles has boosted him a little bit, but it just seems to be that he's just been so good and so consistent as well. For a team like Man United who are inconsistent, he's always been a consistent performer in all these times where we've drawn games or we've not been able to win these winnable games. Luke Shaw just always been the player that looks like he wants to win the game, no matter what game it is, compared to other players who can seem a bit off it or like they don't have that same desire to win. Luke Shaw always has it, and I think that's what puts him above the other players in the team other than Bruno. So for me, best left back in the league at the moment.
Exactly. Yeah, 100% agree. But you made a good point there about that signing of Alex Telles, and maybe that did give him the sort of kick up the arse that he needed. And I mean, you look at the likes of McTominay, how he has improved since the signing of Van de Beek, really, for me. So maybe that's another example. However, another one that maybe hasn't worked is the signing of Cavani, for Martial. That I don't think that's really drastically improved Martial's quality. As good a game as he had on Sunday, I just don't think he's been fairly inconsistent. So you're right. Going back to what you said about Shaw, I think that signing of Alex Telles has definitely been a factor in his improvement this season, and shown why at the minute, and I'll have a debate with anyone, as I've said, he's the best left back in Europe at the minute. So that's me.
A surprise player we saw in the lineup against City was Dan James. How did you guys think he performed? I thought he actually done all right.
Yeah, in these types of games where you're playing a team that you'd think are, like in these big games, Man United like to sit back and then counter. And in these types of games, it's the perfect game for Dan James. I mean, he's got the pace, he's got the agility. So all it takes is to give him the ball, and then he can just go running, blasting down the wing, and no one's really going to stop him, I don't think. So in this game, I think he utilised his attributes perfectly. Because I mean, he's not big, he's not tall, he's not going to be able to outmuscle anyone. He's not going to be able to hold the ball up. He just knows that when he gets the ball, he's just going to knock it past the defender and just run. And I think in a game like this, because I mean, he did it last season as well against Man City. Like, it seems to be the perfect game for him because it means that he can just use. Because people say like, oh, without pace, Dan James is nothing. But I don't think he should be ashamed of that, because pace is one of the most dangerous things for an attacker. So for him to have that in abundance, I mean, it just proves that in these types of games, he can be crucial in the lineup. And for when we're trying to counter, I thought he was very important. And I thought this was one of his best games in the United shirt so far. I mean, I know he didn't score, or he wasn't really stand out, but just for what he does, I think it's one of the best games for him.
Well, Man City like to push their fullbacks up forward a lot as well, don't they? So I think maybe Ole was thinking it's something to give Zinchenko something to think about, when if you're Zinchenko and you're pushing up down the left and you know how quick Dan James can be, you're like, maybe I'll just stay back on this one for a bit.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and that sort of limits then their press. I get what you mean. I mean, overall, I mean, I like Dan James. He's very pacey, as Ben said, and that is a useful asset, but to me, that's all he has. And he's not really a goal scorer. He's not an out-and-out goal scorer. He doesn't have Greenwood's ability to create a goal from nothing. Greenwood's got the pace as well. And I think that just Greenwood's got that bit more quality. But at the same time, I mean, you got to give the guy props for his performance on Sunday. I mean, he looked really dangerous running down the wing. And I he had Zinchenko on toast really for me. So, overall good performance from James, but I don't see him as the long term winger. It's definitely Greenwood is the long term plan. I just hope Greenwood can improve. I think Greenwood, along with Martial and arguably Rashford, they have been fairly underwhelming this season. And I think it contributes to the ethos at United sometimes that we are relying too heavily on individual performances with the likes of Bruno and at times McTominay, Cavani. I think we need to get out of that rut and perform more as a team. But I mean, a perfect team goal was 2-0. Dino's throw to Shaw. Shaw's storming up the pitch, past to Rashford, back to Shaw, and goal. It is a good team goal, but I just think we need to see more of that. I don't think we're seeing enough of it. And especially in big games like this where you need your whole team firing. I think we need more consistency in that way, and I just hope we can provide that same level of team spirit against the likes of West Ham coming up soon and Inter Milan on Thursday night.
Speaking of getting a team firing and being consistent, Liverpool here are crumbling week by week. Wow.
I know.
After the game, 6 games in a row lost at Anfield now, and honestly, thinking of what they achieved the last couple seasons, Champions League and then the Premier League, no one could have anticipated this happening to Liverpool, but I don't know what they can do now to fix their problems, because they don't really have anyone else they can bring into the team, because all their injuries seem to be still long term, so I don't know what their solution is at this point.
I saw a tweet on Twitter was saying the Liverpool PR team better quickly post a video of Van Dijk doing runs up the training ground.
Yeah, man. My brother's a Liverpool fan, and he was saying to me after the game, that it'll be lucky if we see European football at all this season. Is that just not a crazy thing to hear Liverpool fans say? Last season going on about Premier League winners and all this, just being a superior team, to crumble to fighting for Europa League place. Like that just baffles me. I don't know what you think of that, but it's a worse title defence than Moyes. It's crazy, absolutely crazy.
Do you think there's something more going on that we don't know about? Obviously, when Liverpool started to get some bad results, there were news coming out that Jurgen Klopp's mother had recently passed away, and that was in the middle of Van Dijk getting his injury, and then they had no centre backs to play. The new guy Kabak came in, didn't really do too well. Is there something more to that, or do you think it's simply that they're not able to play their first team?
I mean, there is a lot of injuries, and I part of me thinks there's something about the coaching. The way it just how many the amount of injuries they've had is just astronomical. I don't remember a team in recent years anyway getting that many injuries and being plagued by them, because it's not only the likes of Van Dijk and Matip, and they've lost 4 centre back options or something, and they've played 14 different centre back partnerships this season. I think it must be something that it can't be just a coincidence. It can't be just that they happen to be getting so many injuries. For me, I think it's something in the coaching. It's something, the conditioning of the players. I don't know. I mean, I don't. You could argue I don't know what I'm talking about, but I do agree that there is something going on that maybe we don't know about.
Some things you can't tactically explain though is Alisson's mistakes. As a manager, as coaches, how do you eliminate that? Individual errors are very hard to tactically analyze, so there's always that.
It's a type of thing that they would do that thing 99 times out of 100 and they wouldn't do it, but then just in a game it just happens. So like you said, it's something that they can't really coach, because it's just so unfortunate, and it's something that they don't normally do. And whenever they're in training, the coaches wouldn't have seen that. They wouldn't have seen mistakes like that can cost games and stuff like that. But I mean, with the injuries as well, people are trying to say you can't just blame injuries, but I think that's a bit unfair, because it's not substitute players or that they're injured. It's literally their first team centre backs and their first team midfielders that are injured, and people are trying to say that the forwards have been underwhelming, but you look at Salah and he's still the top goal scorer in the league, so you can't say that they're being underwhelming, because they're clearly still scoring. So it is the defence, I think, and to have Van Dijk, Gomez, Matip, to have all of them out, and Fabinho as well, it is something that it seems impossible to get over, because they just have to kind of mix and match whoever they've got available every week. So it's something that's, I feel like, is impossible for any manager to get through and actually cope with and still get results.
I saw a ridiculous stat online, and I need one of you to confirm to me if it's true. Is that Liverpool now 6 home losses in a row?
Yep, that's right. I think that's the first time it's ever happened in the club's history. So
Sure, there was the gif of Klopp when he was counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 European cups, and it was like, oh, how many unbeaten home wins or home losses have you now, Jurgen? And oh man, you have to laugh, but it's mental. Wasn't it not that it was they'd never lost 5 in a row before, and now it's 6.
Yeah, so creating
So
history.
it just yeah, exactly. But I just think that injuries, yes, and I agree with what you mean, Ben. That the Salah is still the top scorer in the league, so that in ways you can't say, oh well, he hasn't been underwhelming then, because there are plenty of goals. But I just think there has to be a mindset problem, and we see it on the pitch that Van Dijk is such an influence both on the pitch and off. So to lose that influence, it would be like us losing Bruno. Losing that influence on the pitch affects morale, and it affects the way that they play, despite having the full front three there, and having Fabinho back for a while anyway. And I think it's been a domino effect for them, really, and it's just led them down a hole now with 6 games, 6-game loss at home. It's baffling. So really, I think it's more to do with morale and the way it's affected that, and that's where they are.
Liverpool losing Van Dijk would be as if Man United lost Luke Shaw, no?
Yeah, I mean, I only say Bruno is because for me he's the most influential player, but I get what you mean. I don't know, man. I feel, I mean, as much as I can feel sorry for them, because I have no real emotional attachment with them, but as imagining United in that same position would be heartbreaking to see so many players injured when we could really make a push. And I've seen on Twitter some people calling for Jurgen Klopp to resign. I just think that's ridiculous. It's one bad season. Before they've had so much glory, and Jurgen Klopp's brought them to be a top European side again. I just think it's ridiculous people calling for him to resign. Definitely,
he's absolutely changed the team from 180, really.
Yeah, I think so. But there's a lot of speculation now, and I mean, obviously it is at the minute because they're in such a downward spiral. But there's calls now that after Jurgen Klopp, his contract ends, that he won't renew it, and then he'll look to seek a different challenge. So it could be Liverpool, but not. We could see a return to mid-table, fighting for top 4 Liverpool side. They are an aging squad after all. So maybe they've passed their prime. Would that be fair to say, or do you think that's sort of too soon?
I don't know. I don't know if you guys saw it as well, but Jamie Carragher after the film game said that Liverpool last season were mentality monsters, but now they're mentality midgets. So It seems to be that like their mindset from last season, they were like, oh, like we're one of the best teams in the world, and now they're like, can we even beat Fulham at home? And then, but do you think that a factor could be with the Anfield, like drop off of form, especially that? Do you think having no fans affects that? Because if you think about it, if Liverpool were 1-0 down to Fulham and fans were there, and they didn't show any response, the fans would be furious. The fans would not accept that if they were in the stadium. So do you think maybe with the Anfield issue that if they had the fans that they wouldn't have been on this really bad run of losing games, or do you think that's a bit?
I mean, it's every team is facing that, and Ollie said that at the sort of the middle of 2020 about the fans affecting games, and he got absolutely hammered for it in the media, saying, "Oh, Ollie's making excuses." So that is not even something to consider. It's been a year now since fans left the stadiums, so I mean that's no excuse. I mean, they won the Premier League with no fans, so I mean I think that's just ridiculous to think that that's any sort of influence, and needing fans really to get motivated to beat Fulham. And we've suffered some terrible losses ourselves this season, getting beat 2-1 by Sheffield. All teams go through that. So that's not something that I really blame on a lack of fans. But I just think that it's not even worth using as an excuse, because all he tried to was saying that at the beginning of the year about United suffering the same thing. And sure, look where we've come. We're performing even better than we were. So it's a factor for everyone. Not for me.
I do think though it's about mentality though. I would agree because once you start to question your own ability, which I think Liverpool players are doing at the moment, that's when you've fallen hard. Like Gary Neville said, normally once a team wins a league title, they can have a little bit of a drop off, but for Liverpool, it's like a total collapse. It's not even a drop off; it's a total collapse. And I just feel like now they're starting to question certain things in their own minds, and I think it will be something very difficult to get through. So I don't know. We'll just see what happens in the latter end of the season.
Exactly.
Remember that season from Chelsea? I can't remember if they had just won the league or not, but they were fighting for relegation.
Yeah.
Was that after a league title win?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
I think so.
Mourinho won the league, and then in the season after, it just seemed all of a sudden like he'd lost the dressing room, or the players just dropped off, and they ended up being in 16th, I think, when they got rid of him. So I mean, it can happen, but when you look at this Liverpool team and what they achieved in the last 2 years, like I just don't think anyone would have thought that this could have happened to them. Because I mean, they're not down in 16th or whatever, but like it has still been.
They did just win the Champions League.
Yeah,
let's also not forget about that.
Exactly. So I don't know. It seems to be something that, because the Liverpool team wouldn't have expected it. I think that's what made it worse. So now they're, like I said, when they're questioning their own minds, maybe they're thinking like, how do we actually get past this? Like, I never thought this could happen to us. So then how are we going to get, through it? And how are we going to start winning games again and get that confidence back? I don't know. It's something that no one would have anticipated. So it's something that I don't think anyone knows the solution to get past it. It's something that just needs to happen and happen fast for Liverpool's sake. But I don't know.
Exactly. I mean, they have so much quality in that team when all their players are there. And I have no doubt next season that with, their better players back, better mentality, a fresh start, no doubt they'll come out of the gates and they'll be a better team. But I think really for this season now for Liverpool, it's more about getting Champions League football. And I know that's always been the priority, but I think it's really set in stone now that they cannot afford to lose any more games. And practically, I don't know what they do to change the way they're going, because they're not going to get these players back anytime soon. So they need to work with what they've got. But I think it just requires, a get up and get on with it type attitude. From the looks of it, it's just very much, feel sorry for us. And, we've had so many players gone and tragedy struck the club. And you understand that. But there's a certain element of football where you go through hard times, and you just have to keep going. I mean, as a United fan, I've suffered 7 years of it, really, and it's you just have to get up and get on with it, and it makes those moments of success in your club all the better whenever you've been with your club through the hard times. Liverpool fans just need to shut up and get on with it. You know what I mean?
Speaking of suffering for 7 years, try suffering through a minute of Xhaka's mistake.
Oh man! Oh god!
I'm really trying with these transitions here, by the way. How are they going?
Yeah, man, that works for me. Oh no, man. I actually pissed myself. It was so funny. Oh man, it was just like that. I mean, Harry Maguire doesn't do that, and to me, Harry Maguire's terrible at times. That's awful, man. And whatever I think about your club in general, I don't particularly like Arsenal, but. Like, oh god, it's absolutely terrible. That's just
stuff you see on like people recording like FIFA glitches or Football Manager.
That's Sunday
mishaps.
League football, that man. That's Sunday League football. That would happen in Sunday League. Xhaka should just go to play for a Sunday League team. That's terrible, man.
There's a debate online and with fans whether whose mistake it was, Leno's or Xhaka's. My stance is that I think it's, if not completely, almost completely Xhaka's fault there. I wouldn't blame Leno. And people are saying, well, Leno should be able to analyse the game and boot it up the pitch, basically. However, if you actually snapshot the camera when Xhaka received the ball, He could have easily passed it across to David Luiz first time, which he's done on multiple occasions. And for what reason there, he decided to take an extra touch, which caused all sorts of trouble. And to add to that, he called for the ball in the first place from Leno. So he obviously was comfortable enough in himself to play the pass. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I watched the game. Well, I didn't watch the most of the second half, but I'd watched at least the first 60 minutes, and from when I saw it, Arsenal just had gone through a really good half, and they were only a couple of minutes from half time, and they were getting praise from even the commentators and stuff during the game, and then I was just sitting there watching it, and then I just see Xhaka make that mistake, and honestly, like I couldn't comprehend what had just happened, because
you had to look twice.
Yeah,
You're like,
I couldn't believe it, because it's something that you just don't see many professional players do, or professional players shouldn't be doing anything like that at all. Like, it should be something that they never make, and they can make it at amateur level when they're growing up, but at professional level, like, that's something that shouldn't be happening. And this whole debate whether it's Leno or Xhaka's fault, I feel like they're doing that just to try get it off Xhaka's back, when I think everyone knows, like, that it is Xhaka's fault, but they're trying to make this debate so it makes neither of them look as bad. But for me, it's Xhaka's fault, and I think it's something that I not maybe take responsibility for the result as a whole, but at least for the fact that, literally, like I said, Arsenal were like 2 minutes away from going in 1-0 up at half time, and I feel like that's something he probably just had to raise his hand and say, like, come on, that was me, sorry. Like, I called for the ball.
No, I think he did do that on social media. I can't remember what it was, Instagram or whatever. He basically said it was my fault for the goal and apologised to the fans. I mean, it's a shame, really, because I actually thought Xhaka's been quite consistent this season, and I was about to praise him in this episode, saying how consistent he is and doesn't get the recognition that he deserves, because if you remember 2 years ago, Xhaka was very reckless, committing fouls all over the park. He was very inconsistent. But this season under Arteta, so far, it was good until that mistake. But that being the key words, until that mistake. And it just got me thinking, is that always going to be within Xhaka? Like, if you play Xhaka, you are automatically gambling that something like that could happen again.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of him as a player anyway, but it's one mistake. It's every player is capable of a massive blunder. You know, the amount of blunders that Harry Maguire has made that's led to goal, and he's Man United's captain. So, I mean, it's not anything that's going to stick with him, or, you know, what I actually had a bigger problem with for Arsenal, it's not even the goal itself. It was actually the response afterwards, going in second half. I just thought, you know, they actually didn't show the resilience of the team to go, do you know what? You know, there's a mistake made. Let's just shrug it off, go out there and get another goal. Because, I mean, you know, you're not really happy with a 1-0 anyway. Do you know what I mean? That's not a sign of a you know, a great performance. So really, you should always be pushing for the 2 or 3 goals. So to go out there and, you know, have a goalless half in the second half after what had just come at them, I just think it's a bit, you know, they should be, you know, aiming higher, really, Arsenal as a team. But
hopefully we can do better in the upcoming Europa League game against Olympiacos, and of course we also have United against Milan on Thursday. Any opinions on that? Predictions, previews on the game?
When I look at both of those fixtures, those matchups, I look at it and think that the two English clubs should be going through. I mean, you look at Milan and the success they're having in Italy at the moment, but I always back that English football is always superior to any of the football levels in Europe. I mean, obviously, teams like Bayern Munich and PSG at the moment, I would say, would beat a lot of the teams. Like, I think they would beat Man United. I think they would beat Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, obviously Liverpool at the moment. But a team like Milan, I feel like the top teams in England should be beating them, regardless of how well they're doing in Italy. I just feel like the level of quality in a team like Man United should always be superior to a team like Milan. I mean, obviously, back in the day, they had Ronaldinho, Xhaka, and Inzaghi, players like that. But that was the best they were ever going to get, I think. I don't think they'll reach to that point. I mean, I know they've got Ibra and stuff at the moment, but he's reaching the end of his career. So I view that as a tie that both English clubs should be winning those and progressing into the latter rounds of the competition. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I know Ibra's going to miss the first half or first leg, I believe, due to a calf injury, which is always good to see, because I think Ibrahimovic, especially against United, would be the type of game he'd show up, and would score a few. So to be honest, I'm predicting a really chaotic game. I'm predicting a really, really goalful 3-2 to Man United. I just think it's going to be a crazy game. It's going to be one of those ones that's Man United. It's going to be similar, I think, to the United and Liverpool game in the FA Cup, the 3-2 at Old Trafford. Yeah, so I think it's going to be a chaotic game and come really right down to the wire. I think United coming off this 2-0 win to City, I think I think they're going to be very happy to go out there and press Milan high. So hopefully, I'm predicting maybe a 3-2, because I still don't back our defence. Even after the performance, I don't back them. And I think we'll concede a lot of goals. It'll just be who can score more. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, that's just me.
I think it'll be a fairly easy 2-0 United win against Milan. I think something what usually happens when a Premier League side plays against a Serie A side is, no matter how good either teams are, the intensity of the press and passing is always going to be superior, and what tends to happen is the Italian sides just can't keep up, really.
Yeah, I've not watched much of Italian football this season, so I haven't seen too much of Milan, but I've been hearing, and even just by looking at the table, you can see they've been doing well. But Italy are always known for having defensive tactics and setups and stuff. I mean, you look at Antonio Conte, he thrives off of defensive setups as well at Inter, and even at Chelsea. When he was at Chelsea, he had the same kind of view on it, always playing like a 3 at the back that could then be a 5 at the back when defending. So it's always the type of thing that a lot of Italian teams like to use. But I would agree with you about the pressing and the intensity, that I don't think they'll be able to keep up with it. And I think we'll win 3-1. I think we'll still concede because, like Ross said, our defence, there's still a lot of doubts over consistent clean sheets and stuff like that against the big teams. But I also agree with them that from winning the Manchester Derby, going into this game, I think it'll be a massive confidence booster, and it'll give them extra motivation after going through a rough period where they couldn't score. But then to go score 2 goals and win the game, keep a clean sheet against the best team in the league, that can only do amazing things to a player's confidence after a tough 3 or 4 game run. Like that should give them a total switch in their mindset and their confidence. So I back Man United to win the game.
Yeah, and I mean, I see what you mean, and I see that, but I mean, you look at the way that we beat PSG convincingly enough, and we had a great defensive performance. We beat Leipzig, had a great defensive performance, and then have an absolute howler at Istanbul Başakşehir. And we're not able to score. We have complete open gaps in the defence. So really, where's the consistency with this defence? Because it always seems to me that we turn up for the big games and then we let our guard down when we think, oh no, we'll win. That's just the way it seems to me, and maybe I'm wrong, but I worry sometimes about the consistency of the whole team, yes, but particularly about the defence, and that's why, as I say, every time I see Lindelof and Maguire, my heart sinks. So I'm just hoping that whether he chooses Lindelof or Maguire, or I think he'll choose Maguire and Bailly, that we just have a consistent performance, whoever it is. You know what I mean? And I just hope we get that. So
I get what you mean, because we beat Southampton 9-0 and we looked unstoppable in front of goal, and then we went and drew our next game as well. So that's another example of the inconsistency. But looking at the Arsenal tie, James, how are you feeling? Because I know that Olympiacos have been a bit of a struggle for Arsenal before. So, do you have any doubts, or are you confident, or nervous? What do you think?
Look, I'd be very surprised if we don't go through in this tie against Olympiacos, but they are a bit of a bogey team for us. I think they knocked us out last year as well. I think it was last year, and I remember a few years back when Giroud was playing for us, he had a shocking game against Olympiacos. So this tie certainly has history, but I hope we're past that. We can move on from the Burnley game and look at this as an opportunity to get into the Champions League. I expect nothing less from the players. Be interesting to see if Xhaka starts after that mistake, to be honest. And yeah, I think it should be a straightforward win. We're at home, I think. Not too sure for the first leg. I'll go for a nice 3-1 to Arsenal for that game.
I think Xhaka has to start though, in my opinion, because I feel like if he doesn't start, no matter what he might have been told behind the scenes, I think if he doesn't start, it would just, I don't know, his mindset would be like, well, I made one mistake and suddenly like I don't deserve a start, or I'm now booted out of the team. I think it would just ruin his confidence a little bit. So I think he does need to continue starting to get over it, forget about it. Because I feel like if he doesn't, then it would just come into his mind again, like, oh, this must be the reason, or is this the reason, or have I just ruined my starting spot and stuff like that. So for me, I feel like he has to start and to get over it. The same with Alisson at Liverpool. Like when he made those mistakes, he just continued playing and got over those mistakes against City and Leicester. So I just feel like when a player does individual mistakes like that, no matter who it is, I feel like they have to continue playing to get over it and just get back to their normal play. So
what's your prediction for the game?
I definitely think Arsenal will win. I could see a 3-0 win just in the first leg alone. I think Arsenal could be a bit ruthless, to be honest. I feel like they could take advantage of this game. So I see a 3-0 win in just the first leg and prevent any away goals for Olympiacos.
I'm hoping that, well, I'm not hoping, I don't really mind, but after your game against at the weekend, I think he's need to come out all guns blazing. Really, I could see a 2-0, 2-1 maybe to yourselves.
Also, I've just confirmed it here. Arsenal are starting the first leg away, so correct that. Yeah.
Well, even so, I mean, I don't really see. Well, maybe so. Then maybe a 2-1 to Arsenal. It would be probably fair. 2 away goals, then going to the Emirates then in the next tie. So I think it's not going to be. I would be very surprised if this is where you ended your campaign in the Europa League. I'd be very surprised. So as much as you are a team that are capable of making mistakes in the same way maybe that we are, I think you have better quality than Olympiacos, and you'll outclass them really over 2 legs. So yeah, 2-1 I think to Arsenal on Thursday.
Okay, I've been very supportive of Arteta ever since he joined. However, if Arsenal do exit the competition at this stage against Olympiacos, I think maybe for the first time you'll start to see people's opinion change on Arteta, which I would disagree with, but this would be the first time that I anyway would start feeling a bit hold on a second here, we've got to be doing better than that.
Yeah, especially since we discussed it last time, how this should be where Arsenal maybe throw all their eggs in one basket and go for it, because we mentioned it last week, this is the most realistic way to get Champions League football again for next year. So I think he does have to prioritise the Europa League, so he does have to be strong and get things right in this competition, because if he doesn't, and like you said, if they exit the competition now and then don't make top 4, then like you said, there could be doubts over Arteta. I still wouldn't agree with that. I think there's plenty of good things you've seen from Arsenal under him to see where they can go with a bit more time, maybe a couple more signings and such. But I feel like for the Europa League, I think they will progress, because this is where they'll prioritise in terms of their upcoming fixtures for the rest of the season over the league, since they'll be desperate to make Champions League football.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think it would be very lousy to get rid of Arteta at this very early stage. I think he needs time, and I think he needs a very a good transfer window to get in players, better quality players. Maybe I don't know exactly what areas of the pitch. Maybe James, you're better answering that. But what areas of the pitch specifically, and who you would be targeting as prime candidates to get in there, but. I just think that he needs more time, and if you're looking then maybe next season and the results are similar and you don't see that sort of uptake in quality, then maybe it is time to reassess and get someone else in. But yeah,
and just to touch on some Champions League games coming up this week as well, should we fire some of our predictions quickly for some of the games? Ben, if you could remind me the games that are taking place.
I know that this week coming up, there's Liverpool against Leipzig and PSG against Barcelona second leg. So Liverpool are 2-0 up currently, 2 away goals, and then PSG 4-1 up, 4 away goals. So those are the games happening this week, and then there's still Chelsea against Atletico to come next week.
A comeback for Barca? Too much of a... Not too far?
It's too much.
Nah.
It's too much to ask, I think.
Don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, Messi can do magical things on a football pitch, but to try say, go on, because they need 4 away goals, because even if they win 3-0, 4 all on aggregate, but with PSG scoring 4 at the new camp, then they need to score 4 and concede no more than 1 to even have a chance to go through. So. It's way too much to ask, in my opinion.
Do you guys know if Neymar is back for the second leg?
I've no idea.
I haven't seen that. I didn't even know he was injured, to be honest, for the first. So when he wasn't in the team for the first leg, I was like, "Where's Neymar?" And then I went up and looked, and he was injured. But I don't know how long it is for. So.
I mean, I don't know PSG's team all that well, but it just shows you the impact that Mbappe has when he can do that without Neymar. He's just a superb quality player. And Mbappe is a young player. He's just a young kid that's come up in the ranks, and he's 22. Like he doesn't play football like a 22-year-old to me. He's so mature for his age. So really, I just can't wait to see what the future holds for him. And amazing quality, and we'll see what happens. Personally, I don't think that there's any signs of a comeback for Barca this week. I could even see a 2-0 PSG. 2-1 maybe. So yeah, it's PSG's to win, really.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for a 3-1 PSG against Barca.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll probably say 3-0. I think it'd be
Another Mbappe hat trick.
I'll be mental.
If he scores another hat trick, that is going to blow up the internet.
Yeah,
it will.
It really will.
I mean, it'll be even more dangerous if Neymar is back, because then that will just, I don't know, it could be anything if Neymar's back, but I think it'll be 3-0.
If you're Mbappe through 1-on-1 against the Barca keeper, you've already grabbed a brace. Neymar, who's your teammate who's come back from injury, hasn't got a goal yet in the game. Do you slide it across Neymar while you're 1-on-1 against the keeper, or do you get your hat trick?
Get the hat trick.
Hat trick. Yeah,
no debate there.
Yeah, get the headlines for yourself. Another hat trick against Barcelona.
Neymar's had plenty of headlines himself. He's had plenty of stuff. I'm sure he'll understand.
You say that, but if Mbappe had 2 goals already under his belt and he could have got the hat trick, and he slides a pass to Neymar, knowing that it means he wouldn't get the hat trick, I reckon that would actually get more headlines than him bagging a hat trick. People would be like, "Oh my goodness, this kid is he's got everything. He's a team player. He can get goals." What do you think?
I mean,
I know what you mean, but there's something special about 2 hat tricks 2 weeks in a row. Like,
yeah,
there's
against
just something
Barcelona.
special about that against Barcelona. All about the hat trick for me. Sorry, Neymar, but 2 hat tricks.
Great, and the Liverpool Leipzig game is also on this week, right?
Yeah. That's a scary one for me, because they're 2-0 up, Liverpool, 2 away goals, but with their home form, like, could we actually see them crumble and lose that and go out, or can they? Because I don't know if they'll win the game, actually, because if they're losing to teams like Fulham and they just have zero confidence, a team like Leipzig who beat Man United when they played them, they beat a few good teams last year when they were in the Champions League. So it could actually be very tense for Liverpool fans and stuff, because I think it could be quite close. I think it could go to extra time even. I wouldn't be surprised if Leipzig win the game 2-0 and it goes to extra time, and then who knows what would happen from there. So
I think really a 1-1 is maybe a fair result. I think that, it could be something where Leipzig score early on and then keep the press up, and then Liverpool bag an equaliser, and that's really it. I don't really see a Leipzig win either, just because Liverpool do turn up for those big games. So really, I think it's got a 1-1 written all over it, or even a 0-0. But either way, I think Liverpool is going through, to be honest.
Yeah, same here. I think it will be a 2-0 Liverpool against Leipzig. I think players normally tend to go in with a different attitude when it's a different competition. They're on a bad run in the Premier League, but they're going to look at the Champions League as a new slate to go in with a whole new mentality. I don't think they'll struggle against Leipzig, to be honest.
I mean, it'll be interesting though to see how Liverpool react from their league form to then see what they do in the Champions League. But I still back that it could be really close and Leipzig could come back from that. But looking at the other game that's on next week though, is the Chelsea Atletico second leg. Obviously Chelsea 1-0 up, away goal as well. How do you guys view that one?
I don't know. I think Atletico could give them a good go. Not expecting the result that it was previously. So I think that'll be an interesting watch, to be honest. I could see Atletico scoring, but I don't know. I could see maybe a 1-0, 2-0 Atletico, depending on... Yeah, I think I'm going to go with a 2-0 Atletico, really.
I was going to go 1-0 Atletico. I want to see Suarez bag a goal against Chelsea for some reason.
Yeah, he could. And I mean, what a move that guy's had, to Atletico. It's been a great move for him, and I can't believe he was let go for so little. It was a free transfer, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think Barca told him that they didn't want him anymore, and so he just went to Atletico for free, and then now he's the top scorer in the league there. So it's ridiculous.
Crazy, isn't it? Yeah, and imagine Suarez, the way he's playing with Atletico, playing for Barca. I mean, if Barca had still wanted him, then he'd save them a few games. He'd be a determining factor in a lot of games that maybe haven't gone Barca's way this season. So, but there you go.
I don't get how any club could say to Luis Suarez that they don't want him. Like, I don't get how any club could be comfortable enough to say, Luis Suarez, you're not really cutting it anymore. I don't want you here, and then they let him go for free. When
to a rival.
Yeah, exactly. And the quality of player he is, I'm just baffled that they were comfortable letting him go like that when he's still a quality player, and he would definitely have saved a few games for Barca this season where they've dropped off a little bit. So I'm just still baffled about how they let that happen. But so wait, James, you said 1-0. So do you back it to go to extra time?
Yeah, I should give a penalty prediction as well, maybe. I think Atletico are going to go through. I have a gut feeling.
Penalties are almost impossible to predict, really, because anything can happen in penalties, no matter what team you are. When it gets to a penalty shootout, it's anyone's game, really. So it'll be... Yeah. I wouldn't mind it going to penalties, so I like a good penalty shootout in big games like this.
Yeah, and especially when you're the neutral. It's horrible when it's United, or for James when it's Arsenal. But I mean, a good neutral penalty shootout when it's a big high stakes game is really fun. So
I want to see Timo Werner taking the last pen for Chelsea in this.
The deciding pen comes down to Timo Werner.
The crucial one. That would really show where his head's at if he was given the deciding penalty of the game.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyways, it'll be interesting to see how United, Milan and Arsenal Olympiacos go this Thursday, and of course the Champions League matches we just mentioned. Another welcome, again, just a reminder, Ross, welcome to the Football Draft team. Glad to have you on.
Thank you guys, thanks for having me.
Yeah, likewise, it's been a great show today.
Thanks. I've really enjoyed it. Great discussion, and can't wait to get discussing more in the next few weeks.
As always, you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, or iTunes, and remember to look out for our episodes every Wednesday.
Yeah, see you guys later.
Take care.